First of all, I appreciate you guys. I know it's been a challenging year on a number of levels. To cover the team and deal with some of the restrictions and so forth that we've had. So appreciate you showing a lot of patience and cooperation on that. Um, have a lot of respect for the players and the coaches and just in general the team, the support people. Scoops worked extremely hard, and they've given they've given their best. We all gave our best. This obviously didn't work out for us the way we wanted it to last night, and ultimately the results of the season. But the effort and the again cooperation and ability to adjust and professionally do things and do things the right way. It's very much appreciated by me, and we had our ups and downs in the season. Slower start, some higher points in the middle of the season, and didn't finish the way that we wanted to. I think we need to and will go back and take a longer view of just everything. Certainly, last night's game was important, and not in any way trying to minimize that, but at the same time, there were 17 other meaningful games, so 18 in all that I think we really need to look at and see how we can do a better job of everything, coaching, playing, schematically, whatever adjustments we need to make there, and so forth, and just in season planning for next year, and so that'll be a thorough process as it always is. Um, Again, the day after the season with the players and the rosters, definitely not a time to make those decisions and on any level. The team level or the player level. Like we all need to step back and again catch our breath, take a longer view of things, and at some point we'll talk about certain situations, players that aren't under contract, players who whatever their future is or is with the team or whatever their individual situations are. Those will all be dealt with at a later point in time. Certainly not today or tomorrow or the next day. I know there have been some questions about staff members, previous staff members that were here and so forth, other staffing around the league and all that. Again, I've been totally focused on Buffalo. That really I haven't even thought about any of that, and so that's again another process that's certainly out in the distance. So, not gonna, again, haven't really given it any thought or time or attention. Put everything we had into Buffalo, and as I said last night, there's they clearly were a better coach team. They played better. They had a much better night than we did, and they certainly deserved to win. They played a good football game, and that's why they're moving on. So, so that's kind of where we're at here. We have some end of the season things to address and just clean up as we head into the off season, and but all the action points will be at some later point down the line, and there are some things in looking at next year on the big picture. Some things that we'll be able to control. There will certainly be some changes and things that we'll have to adjust to, and then there'll be some unknowns, kind of like there are every year, like there were this year and the year before, and that it's a little bit of that every year, but say the last 2 years have been we've had to deal with things and adjust to them, and that's part of it too. So I think we have to, recognize that and just understand that there are going to be things going forward that we're going to have to, that we can't plan for, not specifically. So there'll be a period of adjustment, and so we'll just see how all that plays out. Again, those things are out of our control, so we'll wait and see what the off-season program looks like, what the spring looks like, what training camp looks like, and so forth. And I'm sure at some point in time we'll get more definitive direction on those, and then we'll address them there. So at this point, it's even really hard to have a detailed plan on the off-season program. Just until there are more some more things that are kind of ironed out with that. So just as an example. So so that's kind of where we're at here. Players will be in tomorrow, and wrap things up there, and then just coaching staff. We've got things over the next couple of months that will the normal things that'll come up, draft and pre-free agency, and evaluating the season and so forth, and so we'll start working on those again over a longer period of time. So we'll take that when we get the opportunity to do that here. So that's it. That's where we are. Again, appreciate everybody and the patience and just working through another year with us. And so, all right, Stacy.
Thank you, Coach. Looks like our screen is glitching out again. We are recording this. We will send it out. So if this ends up being audio, my apologies. We're going to open with questions. It's going to be Mike Reese followed by Chris Ryan.
Thanks for those remarks, Bill. I just wanted to ask you, just on you personally, like how you feel about coaching. I'm just listening to you. It sounds like you're sort of ready to turn the page to 2022 and sort of go through the process. Like, is it safe to say this is still something you want to do in 2022?
Yeah, I'd say that would be accurate.
Next question, Chris Ryan, followed by Nick O'Malley.
Morning, Bill. Thanks for the access this year, as well, echoing Mike's sentiments. Just your overall feeling about the team coming off of this game against the Bills, where this was a competitive team throughout the course of the year, but obviously that was a non-competitive game. Do you feel like that's an aberration, or is there something more concerning there?
Yeah, well, Chris, I think we have to take a good long look again, not at just one game, but at all 18, and you could argue that there were elements of last night's game in some other games, but you're right. Last night's game was the least competitive game that we played last year. So again, is that what we are, or is that a bad night? We'll see when we start playing again next year, I guess.
I just wanted to ask about, looking back at Mac's season as well, where it seems like there was steady growth throughout the course of the year, and he was a big part of the positive things you did this year. How would you categorize his season?
Yeah, Mac helped us a lot, and look forward to working with him next year. We all have things we need to work on, and that goes for every player, and that'll be part of the conversation with every player, and for the coaching staff. What we all individually and collectively need to improve on, and so that's a process that we go through with each player, and so there's no need to single out anybody, because there's nobody to single out. It's the same for all of us, coaches, players, support staff, other people in the organization. We evaluate everything we do, and there are good things we did, and then there are other things that we need to improve on, or maybe change or adjust, or whatever it happens to be, and we'll address those and try to do whatever we can to help not just the the team on the field, but the overall operation of the team and how we can do things more efficiently, doing better.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate your insight this season.
Yeah, you're welcome, Chris.
Next question, Nick O'Malley, followed by Mark Daniels.
Hey, Bill. As you mentioned, this is a season that had a particular set of challenges with the COVID protocols, adding a different element to trying to get a season together, and that combined with annual turnover, a lot of the free agents coming in this offseason. What sort of impact would you say on a whole, looking back, would you say that your key veteran leaders like Matt Slater, Devin McCourty, David Andrews had on leading this team this season and keeping the locker room headed in the right direction?
Yeah, I think the leadership from our players this year was outstanding, especially some of the ones that you mentioned there. Certainly throw Hightower into that with Devin and David. James White earlier in the year. Brandon Bolden. Obviously Slater. Some guys that came back this year, and other guys that just stepped up and did a great job, not only in preparing and trying to do their job, but also cohesively trying to tie things together on their side of the ball with the units they were involved in, and as a team. And I think that we can all be proud of some of the steps that we took off the field in terms of the things like social justice and the impact that particularly Devin and Matt had, but also many other players that were involved in that, many other causes that were, that individually we were a part of, and collectively the team joined behind some of the individuals who made us aware of those situations to try to help in various ways. There were really a lot of great team building moments throughout the course of the year, both on and off the field, related to football. In some cases, maybe not related to football directly, but just related to the team. And so, they were, again, spearheaded by a lot of the people you mentioned. But I mean, you can throw, Wise and DG, Lawrence Guy, and again, Bolden, and just many other guys. I don't want to start naming names and leave somebody out. But in all units across all different boundaries and different areas, whether we have many different things that causes and areas of support, and I would say that the players, the staff, the support people, all were engaged in that, and I think there were some very positive results there. So when you combine it all together, yes, certainly a strong level of leadership here, and unselfish commitment to the team, and to for the team doing positive things both on and off the field. I know it's important to the organization, and that's certainly an area that I think we all feel good about in the big picture of being here for a season together.
Thanks, Bill, for today and putting up with all the difficulties that was coverage this season.
All right, thanks, Nick.
Commissioner Mark Daniels, followed by Maury Hirschberg.
Hey, Bill, good morning. Bill, I wanted to ask you about Jonnu Smith. Just going forward here with him, what needs to happen to make him a bigger part of the offense? Is it look at the fit in the scheme? I mean, coaches yourself have said obviously Jonnu's worked really hard, and just I know it's not all about numbers, but obviously his numbers weren't there this year compared to relative what he did the last 2 years.
Yeah. Well, again, Mark, we'll go back and again talk about each player, everybody's situation, and so forth, and scheme and all that. So I'm sure there's probably a number of things that with every player. Again, I don't want to single anybody out here because that's really not what this is about. It would be a detailed look at everything we do. So every offensive play, every defensive call, every player, every aspect that goes into a day, whether it's meeting, practice, walkthrough, film, how we do things, and again for each player what they need to work on, what they did well, what we want to continue to do, and what we either we're going to change or they need to change, or maybe some combination of both. Again, all that's part of the off season. I would say look back and analysis, and then going forward and decision making on what we can control and what the player can control, and we'll see all that comes together.
Next question, Maury Hirschberg, followed by Dakota Randall.
Hey, Bill, good morning. I wanted to ask about Brandon Bolden and the job that he did admirably filling in for James White after that early season injury. You probably didn't expect him to have a career year like this, but what does it say about the guy at his age with his experience to come in and just kind of take over that role and do so well?
Yeah, well, I think it says a lot about Brandon, but I disagree with that. I don't think anybody was surprised by the way that Brandon played offensively this year. I don't think that surprised anybody here, any player or any coach, anybody that's been around Brandon on a daily basis like we have. With the exception of last year in 18, 2 years he wasn't here, but you see that consistency from him every day. We've had some very good players play that position, essentially ahead of him and healthy through it, particularly James. But I don't think there's ever been any doubt that he could perform well on the field, could be a 3-4 down player, which he was, carry the ball, catch the ball, pick up in blitz, and play in the kicking game. He's shown those things. They've just been, I'd say the majority of the time, we haven't used him in those roles. We spread those roles between him and James. This year he ended up picking up all of them for the reasons that you articulated, and we didn't expect that to happen. But I don't think anybody was surprised that he performed at a high level all year on all 4 downs, in both offensively and in the kicking game. So Brandon's a good football player, and he had an opportunity to play more offensively this year, and he did a great job for us.
Question from Dakota Randall, followed by Dan Roach.
Hey, Bill, I know a lot of guys played through stuff at the end, but Christian Barmore looked like he was in a lot of pain last week, and then at the end of a long rookie season, toughed it out and played a lot last night. Just wondering how impressed you were with everything he showed this season, including at the end.
Yeah, well, Christian, played a lot of snaps this year. He took a lot of snaps in practice. He was a durable and dependable player for us, and I think he has a real good future. It's, as we all know, it's a very long season in the National Football League, especially for a rookie that has the time in the spring and then has training camp where they're really challenged a lot more than players who have been through that. It's just the first time through. It's it's tough, and then it's a long season and a lot of time to manage, and everybody gets banged up over an NFL season, and those are all difficult parts of being a rookie. So everybody goes through it, and this year's group went through it this year, and next year's group will go through it next year. And excuse me, I'd say each player's situation is usually a little bit different, but the commonality is that there's some degree of that. So we've talked to all those players about it over the course of the year, at the beginning and training camp and during the season and then at the end of the season, and talking about it and actually experience it are two different things. I'm sure all those players will be better prepared, for the length and the challenges of an NFL regular season than they were this year, like we all were after the first year. So I thought in general our rookie class was a mature class. They handled things well, but it was their first year, and hopefully they'll learn and grow from it, and be able to use the experience this year to move to a higher level next year.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Dan Roach, followed by Yofi Chin.
Morning, Bill. Thanks for your cooperation all season long. Just a thought kind of following that about Barmore, but more so about everybody in the organization. How much do you think a full off season for a lot of these guys? You signed some big name free agents over the course of last year, tight end and key positions, but also had a rookie quarterback and had to deal with more COVID issues. How much do you think everybody will be with a full year, a full off season under their belts going into next season?
Yeah, well, obviously, I think that the extra time, the more time we have together, and the more time that we do things, together, that the better off we'll be. But again, that all remains to be seen. I don't want to, get into, speculation and predictions. I mean, we'll have the same opportunity that everybody else has in terms of an off-season program, training camp, preparation for the season, and 17 regular season games. So, what we do with it relative to what other teams, our competitors, do with it, we'll see how that goes. But we'll do what we always try to do, Dan, and that's take advantage of every opportunity we have. Whatever that is, whether it's preseason, whether it's training camp or off-season program, individual meetings, OTAs, training sessions. We'll try to prepare the team the best that we can, and the individuals the best that we can, and then put the best team out on the field and most competitive team that we can. And that's, again, I know I'm kind of saying the same thing here, and it's geared towards each individual. It's geared towards the unit that they're involved in, and then collectively, it's about the team's performance. So, I think that's the best way to do it, and I think we'll continue to do it that way. We just have to try to find the ways that'll maximize the results, and that's what we're searching for, individually and collectively.
Next question, Yofi Chen, followed by Matt Pepin.
Good morning, Bill. Thanks for taking the time. I know it's been ups and downs, but how do you feel about your coaching staff's progression throughout the year, especially for some of the younger coaches in your staff?
Yeah, I think I mentioned earlier, the staff's worked extremely hard. These guys are here early. They leave late. They spend a lot of time detailing things out, looking at things in a very, again, detailed and close analysis to try to find an edge, to try to find a key that'll help their player or that we can use, in a schematic way. So we have obviously coaches that are at very different levels in their coaching career. Some on the back end, some mid-career, some in the early side of their career, and I think that's a good blend and a good, it's healthy, and they're new ideas and there's a lot of mentoring from some of the the older coaches or more experienced coaches with the younger ones, and that's a good thing too. So certainly Ivan has done a great job for us in that area. He's been here for 25 years, and he would be the number one example of a coach that's coached the coaches and helped the coaches over a sustained period of time. So some of the younger coaches that are here, and even coaches like Josh and people like that, myself, that he's been here longer than we have, that he's been a great resource and not just in doing his job, but also in helping other people and giving guidance and leadership and just setting a great example on how to work and help the team in any way he can. So we have a lot of as I said, younger coaches on the staff and in different areas, offense, defense, special teams, that are growing, and other coaches that have quite a bit of experience that have been in a lot of coaching situations and a lot of big games. So that's kind of the blend that we have, and I would anticipate that we would have that going forward. We pretty much had that my entire time here, and I think that's that kind of progression and that mix of coaches on the staff is a good one.
And two final questions, Matt Pepin and Zach Cox.
Hi, Bill. I also wanted to ask about the coaching staff, specifically which coaches, if any, have been requested for interviews by teams with coaching vacancies.
Right. Yeah. I don't think it's really my place to comment on other teams' jobs or who they're looking for or what they're doing or whatever. So I'll leave that to them. But whatever it is, we're obviously will comply with, and however those situations turn out, again, that's generally speaking out of our control. So we'll see what happens. If something happens, then we'll adjust to it and react to it. And but I don't know. We have a lot of good coaches. It's not surprising that other teams would be interested in talking to them or other staff members. The same thing with the scouting staff. I mean, we've had that. We really basically have that every single year. So. How that goes and what'll happen, again, I don't know. That's not my decision to make. But certainly, if there's an opportunity for somebody that's at a high level that we can't provide here, I understand that they would have to consider that. So we'll see what happens on that. But I think those jobs really should be talked about by the teams that have them. And again, I don't really have any input into those situations, so it doesn't. I'm just kind of standing on the sideline. You're welcome.
Yep. Thank you. Final question, Zach Cox.
Morning, Bill. Bit of a general question, but just looking back on the season, what can you say about the impact that the new veterans that you guys brought in had on the team from an on-field and an off-field perspective?
Well, yeah, that just in total, that group certainly made us a better team. They gave us, some high-quality play, and it was a very solid, hard-working group. Again, some of those players had been here before. Players like Trent and Ted Karras, and then we certainly had another group of players. I don't know if you're putting them in that category or not, but the players that didn't play last year, like High and Brandon and so forth. And so, the overall group, again, whether new players or new to the 2021 team, however you want to look at it, yeah, those players impacted us a lot. And I think we talked earlier about the leadership that we had from some of the players that held over, certainly the captains and other veteran leaders that would fall into that category. Guys that have been here for a while that maybe weren't captains, but have been were strong leaders as well. So yeah, it was good to work with those players. It was good to get to know them, and I'd say over the course of the spring and training camp, you kind of could see a lot, but then as we got into the regular season and the 18 games here, you could see. Continue to see how they can, what they were, maybe what they needed, or how we needed to fit them in, or they needed to fit into, various aspects of the team. And so, that was, I think, a positive, productive process that, we know a lot more now than we did in September. We knew a lot more in September than we did in March when a lot of those guys were signed or opted back in, however you want to look at it. And I think we know more now than we did in September. So we'll try to, as I said, take all the things that with each individual player and try to plug them into their units, and from a team standpoint, try to make the team more productive and see if their role is what they need to do to increase their production on the team, what we need to do to maybe, help their positioning or opportunity to help the team. And, so that's, I think that's a process, again, it's an annual process. It's not specific to this year's group. We've had new players every year, but that's a process that's very common. Sometimes during the year, it's fairly easy to, do some things that, are maybe beneficial for that player. In other cases, it's harder to do, and those are the kind of things you really need to start at back in the spring or in training camp, where you build them into the foundation of what you're doing rather than trying to, plug them in. Depends on what it is, but, there's an element of both there. So, yeah, that's certainly part of the long-term conversation. No question. Thank you.
Thank you, Coach. Thank you, Coach. Thanks for the time today and throughout the year. And thanks, everyone, for your participation. It doesn't work without your questions. My apologies for the video feed going out on this one. We'll send a recording as soon as that is processed. Thanks, everyone. We'll have up to 4 players tomorrow, and that'll be it for to conclude the regular season. Thanks.
All right. Thank you.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.
When did Bud Light Seltzer start making lemonade?
Probably when 2020 handed us all those lemons.
New Bud Light Seltzer Lemonade, packed with lemonade flavor after a lemon of a year.
Opponents? I've gone up against thousands.
And there's an opponent we're all up against, COVID-19.
But there's a way to beat it. Get vaccinated.
So when it's your turn, roll up your sleeves.
And let's get to the finish line together.